Hi, it's Bill Sandison, Councillor for Ward 2 here in Belleville, and I'd like to begin today's video by thanking all the Ward 2 residents for their support, their suggestions and their opinions on the matters that affect our community. Communication is important, and while we're not able to conduct in-person town hall meetings, I appreciate the phone calls, the emails, and the social media posts that help keep me informed of your interest in our community. So today I'm going to touch on 4 topics in this update. I'm going to touch on public transit, the 2021 budget, and our fire and emergency services. And I'll wrap up with a few words on the ward system. So on our public transit system, we are actually launching today the new buses, 4 new buses that we received. But I also want to just maybe take a minute to also recognize that yesterday was Transit Driver Appreciation Day, and we did a little bit of a thank you on the Lauren Brooker Show, and our fleet of men and women are really our frontline heroes in many respects, as they provide a critical service to our community. So with the arrival of the 4 new buses, we are taking 3 buses out of service. 2 of them are 18 years in age and 1 is 16. And each of those 3 buses have between 1.4 million and 1.5 million kilometers on them. So they're certainly overdue to come out of service. On Wednesday, at our Transit Advisory Committee meeting, the committee endorsed the expansion of service into Ward 2 and with a start date of September. And that'll coincide with the start of school. Hopefully we've got everybody vaccinated and we're returning to some level of normalcy. So one of the questions I know will be on people's mind is, how will that transit be paid for? So for the first 12-month period, so from September of this year through to September of next year, it will be funded by federal gas tax money. So for riders in Ward 2 that will have that service available to them, they will just have to use a regular bus ticket just like everybody else. When we start to look at the 2023, and I know that's quite a ways away, budget, we will need to re-examine how it's funded. And maybe just to close on transit, we are also looking at the electrification of our fleet. So we've been in discussions with Alexicon. Those discussions are continuing, and it is a complex undertaking, and there are many considerations that need to be examined, and whether it is viable for our city will be part of a recommendation or a report that comes back to the committee probably in the fall. So that's it for public transit. On the 2021 budget, we did, that package was mailed out to council yesterday, and so that's in preparation for the March 30th council meeting, where we will determine what that budget will be. In December, we did go through the capital portion of the 2021 budget, and as has happened in the past, we are investing again heavily in Ward 2. We've got road improvements to Canafton Road North, Zion Road, Bethel Road, Ashley, and a number of other roads. So also, as part of that budget, we've got the Thurlow Dog Park, off-leash dog park, and we're going to be doing some upgrades to the bird park, and that's located in Settlers Ridge. So as we look ahead at the operating budget portion, we have seen some significant increases from Hastings County, particularly in the areas of social services, housing, and long-term care. And the challenges and response that we've experienced through 2020 has really raised the bar in terms of expectations and the demands that have been placed on those services. So it's really important that as a community we support each other and we support the increases that are coming through. Just rough sized it in terms of impact on our tax base. It looks like it'll be about 0.5%. So last year, when we concluded the budget, we were actually able to hold the line on 2019. We're not going to be able to do that this year. It looks like there'll be a modest increase, but that will ultimately be a council decision. The fire and emergency services, which falls under the umbrella of the Protective Services Advisory Committee, was formed to look at our current service model, our roles and responsibilities, and prepare for council a recommendation in terms of what our protective services for fire and emergency services should look like in support of the future. So we did, in November, we did meet with the Belleville Volunteer Firefighters Group, and then on a separate occasion we met with the Belleville Professional Firefighters Association. So we have their input. We've been using, or a guide, if you will, the Palmax report, and we've been using that to sort of steer the discussions. As we've had COVID relax, the committee is actually meeting again next week, and we will start to shape our recommendations. So there will be some changes on the financial side as we look at how those services are provided across the city and where the costs are allocated. So with those costs changing and being reallocated, the committee will certainly recommend that whatever changes occur be feathered in over a 2 to 3 year time frame. There's been a lot of changes to Belleville Fire over the years with new stations, and certainly one of the things that's on the radar is our Fire Station 2. And we're looking at that from an age point of view and also from a location point of view, where we've seen the growth to the north and the west. We will be examining that as part of the overall recommendation package that comes forward. And so I want to close just with a brief discussion on the ward system. The ward system, two-ward system, has been in place since amalgamation, and there's been no changes. So with, as I mentioned, the growth that's occurred throughout the city, I think now is an appropriate time to examine the ward system and determine whether it's the most balanced and equal way, or equitable way, to serve our community and the residents of our community. Earlier, we have taken steps to change how we vote with telephone and internet voting, and so If we are going to change the electoral ward map, we need to have that discussion now in advance of the 2022 election so that we could put those places in order if council should decide to move in that direction. So I will close at this point, and I want to thank you for your time. And certainly keep safe, and if you've got any questions or suggestions, by all means, you know how to get a hold of me. Thank you.